My name is Waffles, and I'm a political commentator. I'm going to take a brief moment to provide some information with regards to Donald Trump's tariffs, which are supposed to take effect tomorrow. The possible implications of these tariffs are far-reaching, and I'm just not able to cover the entirety of what may be impacted, so you will need to do your own research if you have additional concerns. We've already seen that discussion of these tariffs has had a negative impact on business operations in the United States. This is something that everybody in America needs to consider because it is going to have a tremendous impact on the state of the United States economy as well as our daily lives. For reasons of public safety, I am going to provide a little bit of information about some of the possible impacts that could take place to American citizens from the proposed tariffs being imposed on our foreign allies. Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China are likely to go into effect on Saturday, the 1st of February. That is tomorrow. Today is Friday, January 31st. Canada has made clear statements that these tariffs appear to be attempts at economic warfare. Economists are very concerned that introducing these tariffs could have devastating effects on the economy of Canada and also raise prices for consumers in America. Trump has stated that he would like to introduce a 25% tariff on Canadian imports. 75% of Canada's exports go to the United States. Trump is also planning to implement a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico. Canadian officials have been working on drafting a response on how to deal with these tariffs. However, they have not yet made this information public. It is currently still unknown how extensive Trump intends to be with these tariffs. Depending on how extensive these tariffs are, will determine how much the price of products is affected. This could immediately result in high unemployment and raising prices. If these tariffs are extensive, it is likely going to result in high unemployment and higher price inflation in the United States. Canada provides electricity to 30 states in the U.S. Canada has threatened to shut off the United States electricity. These are the states in the northeastern United States. Vermont, New York, and Maine significantly rely on electricity sold from Canada. Canada is also the top supplier of crude oil to the U.S., making up 60% of total oil imports. Officials in Canada have been discussing cutting off the oil supply to the United States as a response to these tariffs. States receiving electricity from Canada include California, Washington, Oregon, Minnesota, Michigan, New York, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri, and Iowa. Potential consequences of Canada shutting off the electricity that it provides to these 30 states include but are not limited to the following. If Canada were to stop exporting electricity to the 30 states that it currently supplies electricity to, the consequences would be significant for both people and the economy in the affected states. There would be immediate power shortages and blackouts, disruption to the power grid. The United States and Canada share an interconnected electricity grid that has been in place for over a century, and a sudden cutoff would destabilize the grid, particularly in states heavily reliant on Canadian electricity, such as New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. Blackouts. States depend on Canadian hydroelectric power. Blackouts would happen in these states. They would face immediate power shortages, leading to rolling blackout or prolonged outages in some areas. This would disrupt daily life, including heating, cooling, and essential services like hospitals and emergency response systems. Economic consequences. Increased energy costs. The loss of Canadian electricity would force states to rely on alternative, often more expensive energy resources such as natural gas or coal. This would drive up electricity prices for consumers and businesses. Impact on industries. Energy-intensive industries such as manufacturing would face higher operational costs or production slowdowns due to power shortages. This could lead to layoffs and reduced economic output in affected states. Supply chain disruptions. Industries relying on consistent energy supplies, such as food processing and logistics, would experience disruptions, potentially leading to shortages of goods and higher prices for consumers. Strain on the United States energy infrastructure. The overburdened domestic grid in the United States would need to compensate for the loss of Canadian electricity by increasing domestic production or importing from other sources. This would put additional strain on the already aging U.S. infrastructure. Modifications to permanently replace Canadian electricity. The United States would need to invest in significant infrastructure changes, such as building new power plants or modifying the grid to separate it from Canada. These changes would take years and billions of dollars. Environmental impacts. The United States would need to shift to fossil fuels. Canadian electricity exports are predominantly hydroelectric, a clean and renewable energy source. Replacing this with fossil fuel-based energy would increase greenhouse gas emissions, undermining climate goals. Delays in renewable energy transition. States relying on Canadian hydroelectric power may face delays in transitioning to renewable energy resources, as they would need to prioritize short-term energy security over long-term sustainability. Political and diplomatic relationships would be strained. There will be fallout between the United States and Canada in their relations. A shutdown of electricity exports would escalate tensions between the two countries, potentially leading to retaliatory measures or trade disputes. Regional instability. States heavily reliant on Canadian electricity might pressure the federal government to resolve the issue quickly, creating political challenges within the U.S. Social impacts. Public health. Risks of power outages during extreme weather conditions, like a winter storm in northern states, could endanger lives, particularly among vulnerable populations such as the elderly and those with medical conditions. Public unrest. Prolonged blackouts and rising energy costs could lead to public dissatisfaction and protest, further complicating the situation. The consequences of Canada shutting off electricity exports to the United States would be severe, affecting millions of people and causing widespread economic and social disruption, while Canada would also face economic repercussions from such a move. The immediate impact on the United States would be more pronounced, particularly in the 30 states that rely on Canadian electricity. If there is a full-blown power outage, there is a chance that people may lose the ability to use their cell phones. There is likely backup power supplies connected to a lot of the cell phone towers, but it could cause cellular service to be unreliable and possibly unreachable in some cases. So if the power does go out, if this does happen, people will need to make sure that you keep your phone charged. There are significant safety risks as well as economic risks that United States citizens will likely face as a result of the sudden introduction of these tariffs. It is still winter and snowstorms may continue to take place. These are things that we need to consider, so I'm drawing your attention to this issue because it's a matter of public safety and public well-being. Also, I want to let you guys know that there are 2 campaigns that I'm currently running on my bio. I have petitions listed at the link tree, at the top of my link tree. If you are concerned about the direction that things are going and you believe that Donald Trump needs to be impeached and removed, we are currently running a campaign for impeachment. In order to achieve this goal, we would need to get Congress to proceed with impeaching current President Donald Trump for removal from office. This means people need to be putting pressure on our members of Congress to take actions to impeach. I also want to remind people that we are able to, as states, conduct recall elections to remove unfit members from Congress. Things are not likely to get better if people are going to ignore the problems that we face as a nation and fail to take action. There is a need to raise public awareness, keep the public educated, and ensure that citizens understand their rights and capabilities. Don't forget to follow my posts, share this video, and check me out on other platforms. All of my content is available through my bio.